Morning, yogis. So we're going to begin our practice this morning in a seated position. So come find a comfortable seat. You may want to fold your blanket and sit on the edge of that blanket, removing any flesh from your sit bone. Rolling the shoulders down and back, and just find that comfortable sweet spot for yourself. And just give yourself a moment to settle here and relax and let the body begin to get heavy. The tops of your thighs all the way to the sides of your feet, and just let the tension go. Allow the tension to leave. I invite you to find softness in places where you're holding that tension. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes and just taking a look inward, I invite you to take that moment where you can just be. There's nothing to do but be present in this moment here on your mat. It's your time. This is your journey. And begin to connect that breath to the softness you're starting to feel, perhaps. Taking a deep breath in and rolling the shoulders back, sitting up a little bit taller and longer through the spine. Head sits above your heart, hands come to heart center, and bowing down to yourself, gazing towards your fingertips. Thank yourself for showing up for your practice this morning and meeting yourself on the mat. Honoring where you are in your practice and accepting what is. Bring your head back up, taking those arms and reaching up overhead. Reaching up overhead, relax the shoulders away from the ears, turning the pinkies in towards each other, and perhaps taking a baby back bend here. Very, very slight, just enough to kind of waken the body up in the spine. Taking that deep breath into that stretch, and then exhale out as we bring our hands back down towards the mat. Fingertips tented, sitting up just a little bit taller again here in this position. And start to feel the energy coming from the earth rising through the arms. You're feeling this power, perhaps. I invite you to feel as if you are that warrior this morning. And whatever that may feel like to you. As we all have different ideas about what a warrior feels or warrior is. And this is your chance to use that imagination. And just let yourself go and be. Pausing for that moment, settling into what that might feel like for you. To be this warrior. Perhaps there was a time in your life that you had to be that warrior. Perhaps there was a time in your life that you didn't feel you fit in, but yet were comfortable with who you are. And at the same time, unapologetically you. Taking another deep breath in on your exhale, bringing your hands back to Anjali Mudra. As we make our way to tabletop position, coming into table, you can bring or keep your blanket where it is if you need that support for your knees. Hands spread nicely, fingers spread nicely wide apart. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, untucking the toes behind you, bringing the belly button to spine, and bringing the shoulder blades together. as not to kind of collapse into the shoulders. We want to lift up out of the shoulders and taking that gaze towards the front of the room. Taking a deep breath in here again, feeling each fingertip pressing into the mat. You are a warrior. You are strong. You are this incredible force. Today on the mat, again, I invite you to feel what that warrior feeling might feel like for you. That brings me to a story of Shiva. Now, Shiva was just one of the gods that was responsible for destroying the universe, but yet to recreate it. And he was sort of the one on the outs. He was an outcast. He hung out with all the outcasts. The dogs and those that were considered maybe undesirable at that time. And take that deep breath in. Perhaps you could connect yourself to how Shiva, this god, was. And perhaps there was a time in your life, the same sort of story. Whatever that resonates or whatever feelings that brings up for you. Bring one hand length up in front of you, tucking the toes. Coming into downward facing dog. Bringing your hips up towards the sky. Taking a deep breath, begin to pedal those feet out. So in this position now, sort of where downward facing dog came from, is connected to Shiva. As he hung out with dogs, as they were his favorite, so to speak, and the outcasts, right? So at this moment, feel as if you could feel that feeling that he would feel at that moment. Taking that breath, and we're going to just gently walk ourselves up to the front of the mat. Taking a forward fold here. Generously bending the knees, hands come down to the mat, fingertips, and just relaxing through the spine as the crown of the head just gently releases. And you can bring your hands to opposite elbows and perhaps in ragdoll. Taking this moment to just be and relax and let everything go and connecting that breath. And exhale out. Coming to half flat back, hands to shin. And releasing that and coming back to that generous forward fold with our knees generously bent. And on your next breath in, inhaling, bringing yourself up slowly to a standing position. Head is the last to follow. Hands come to heart center. Standing in this position of sturdy and groundness. Feeling the grounding feeling through your feet as if the earth is meeting you and you're becoming one with the earth. Tall, proud, confident. And how is that resonating with you? How is this making you feel? Accept that feeling and let it be. Don't judge it. Just taking another deep inhale, bringing the hands up overhead and coming back to Shiva. Shiva marries Sati. Now, Sati's father was not at all happy with this situation. He did not approve of Shiva whatsoever. Taking another deep inhale, exhaling out, bringing those hands up one more time. Holding our hands and interlacing our fingers and bringing the pointer finger up towards the sky, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. And at this moment, just feeling that feeling of warrior again. Here you are, grounded into the earth, secure with who you are. And knowing that you're in love with this beautiful, beautiful woman, Sati. And the feeling of not being approved upon. And bring your hands back down to Anjali Mudra. So Sati's father arranges a ceremony to honor Shiva's name, but however did not invite Shiva or Sati to this ceremony, which is extreme disrespect, dishonor, rude, as we might say here in our society today. And this did not go over well with Sati. Sati was hurt that her husband was not accepted by the king, her father. Stepping back, releasing our hands, stepping back into Warrior One. Coming into Warrior One, and in this moment, this is where Shiva, who found out that Sati threw herself into the fire because she just could not handle it any longer, that feeling of not being accepted and her husband not being accepted and dishonored by her father. Shiva is angry and disheartened of losing his wife and angry at the situation. He turns himself into Virabhadra, which is a fiery warrior. So in this position of Warrior One, this position here, this pose, this asana, symbolizing the moment that Shiva turns to Virabhadra. And in this position, I want to perhaps invite you to feel what that feels like, of the transformation of becoming this warrior, fiery. Perhaps what feelings this brings up for you. Is it anger? Whatever that is for you, accept it, and just I invite you to take a journey through this Virabhadrasana 1, 2, and 3. So here you are, this fiery warrior. Taking that deep breath in as we prepare for Warrior 2. Bringing those arms down. Taking maybe a little wider step back with our back foot. And bringing our hips to the side of the room. Arms come out nice and long. Reaching forward as the other arm is reaching back as we bend into our front leg, but evening out that weight between the back and the front. Gazing over the front fingertips. The back of your back foot edge of the foot is pushing into the mat. And here you are. Shiva. Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. This is the point where you cut the king's head off. It's a symbol. It's a symbol of anger and upsetment and whatever that might even bring up for you here in this story. Relaxing through this position, just holding Warrior 2 and imagining perhaps what that feeling might have been like as the king's head has become beheaded by Shiva. Taking a deep breath in, bringing our hands down to our waist, turning the back foot straight. Taking a moment to pause here, straightening the front leg. Standing in this grounding position and realizing what has just happened. Breathing in, exhaling out. Now Shiva at this point realizes what he has done and wants to give the king's head back. So as we come into Warrior 3, this symbolizes Shiva handing back the king's head. As we come into warrior three, his hands are out nice and long, and he's reaching the head back to the king. But the head is not his head, it's a goat's head. So as we come into warrior three, pushing into the front foot, taking a deep breath as we bring the back leg up and finding that warrior three. And only take it to as far as you feel comfortable. Perhaps you need to hold on to something. Perhaps you can do this against the wall. Hands are nice and long in front of you as you're in warrior three, and just picturing yourself handing back the head of the king. Finding that dristi to keep yourself steady. As you can see, I'm talking and moving at the same time, so finding that dristi for me at this point, it's a little hard. So I'm just gonna hold on and balance here. And exhale, coming out of the pose, gently pushing into the front foot, gently bringing the back foot down. Bringing the arms up, hands to heart center. Coming to stand to the front of your mat. Taking a deep breath in. Bringing the arms down as we come into mountain pose. And just to pause here in mountain pose, grounding. Shoulders roll down and back, grounding through the feet. Standing nice and tall and proud. Sending your thighs to the back of the room. Engaging the core, and the crown of your head sits right above that heart. Just pausing for a moment in your breath and just thinking of all that we have just discussed as we move through Virabhadrasana 1, 2, and 3, and what those three poses perhaps symbolize. Just pausing here. And of course, there's so much more to all of this yoga mythology, but this is just a very short version of what perhaps these three poses symbolize and mean, the myths. Hands come to heart center, bowing down to yourself and thanking yourself for allowing the journey to happen